So welcome to the BTC show. So interestingly, I had a guest. Don't be surprised about the drink. It's a real drink. What it means is that things are about to get better. So I had my guest, Mr. Emmanuel Michael, and we looked about the changing workplace. The good thing was that we looked at what the rules of engagement currently is, because we figured out that after COVID, we jumped into the new rules of work. However, the feedback has always been that there needed to be new rules of engagement. So having a subject matter expert share his own rules of engagement and how he thinks organizations and individuals can ace it at work is the one you should listen to. Did we have fun? Wherever there are drinks, you never can tell. But these are good drinks. I wasn't sleepy. So I advise you to sit back and have fun listening to the BTC show. You know, we've been planning to do this for a long time, right?
Yeah. Finally.
Finally,
Yeah.
we've put a face to Mr. Emmanuel Michaels.
This is the first time we're meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay, we've just been chatting online.
So the funny thing about social media is that it makes you believe that you've known people for a long time.
When you get to see them, it looks as if this is not the first time you're meeting the person.
Good to meet you, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Finally.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why we had you was that we want to hear from the HR on the workplace post-COVID. Apart from the obvious changes we've had, I knew we're talking before we came on set on the rules of engagement, how things have changed, and how it's global best practice, not just Nigeria, but it's a global thing. So first of all, you need to tell us, give us a background on your HR journey. That will help people appreciate the voice of who they're hearing, more importantly.
Okay, so
Yeah.
my name is Emmanuel Michael,
Perfect.
popularly called EM.
Perfect. Yeah.
EM, yeah, so everybody calls me EM.
Yeah.
That's an abbreviation.
Yeah.
My name. I started my HR career in 2003.
Ah, long
Yeah,
time.
2003. So now I think I'm 20 years plus.
Perfect.
Yeah, 20 years plus. I think November, so 2003, so 20 years plus. And my very first HR role was as an assistant head of assistant HR manager,
Okay.
which is the lead HR person for that organization.
Okay.
I was reporting straight to the GM in a hospitality company. So in other places, the GM is the equivalent of the MD or the CEO for that organization. So that's where I started. And it was a global company,
Okay.
well-known brand
Okay.
in the hospitality sector. So I worked with that company for a while, and then they were acquired by another global brand, headquartered now in the US. So that was where I received most of my exposure, training. It gave me opportunity to travel globally,
Okay.
the US, Europe, some countries in Africa, on knowledge exchange in the space of HR.
Okay.
And then after which, during that period, I also joined the Society for Human Resource Management in the US. So that gave me access to a lot of resources to myself. So I moved from the hospitality industry to financial services in 2011.
Okay.
So 2003 to 2010 December, I was in the hospitality industry. So I moved to financial services 2011 up until last year, 2023, around August. So I decided to take a break. Before then, early in 2021, I started asking myself that I will soon be clocking 50. So what do I want to do when I'm 50 plus?
Yeah.
I still want to keep working for organizations, or do I want to do something? So that was when I started thinking of what to do next, and that led me to coaching.
Okay.
So I decided to go through take a training in coaching. So right now, I'm a certified leadership and career success coach in addition to my HR stuff.
Awesome.
And in my previous company, I also went through some training with regard to agile project management. So I'm a certified business agility strategist.
Okay.
Yeah, amongst several others. So that's me. Currently, I sit as the vice chair of the HR Certification Institute in the United States. So I contribute to uh, global knowledge in terms of HR certification. That's me in a
Okay.
nutshell.
No, that helps it. I also remember that you were November 11th.
Yeah, I'm born November
So
11th.
those that are born on November 11th are separate, are different kinds of human. Nobody should
And
ask
then
me
one
why.
interesting thing, okay, I'm a father to triplets,
Interesting.
2 boys, 1 baby girl,
Awesome.
and I'm married to 1 wife.
No, it has to be one. If you said more than one, would have looked for more problems.
Yeah,
But good to hear that part of you.
yeah.
Now, with the change in the workplace, how do you think the Nigerian, because what it means now is that the role of HR changed completely too after
Yeah.
COVID. Most organizations that couldn't cope with having an in-house HR decided to outsource that role. But basically, how has it been for the workplace from your own point of view? With the new entrance of Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, with organizations, we think in organizations becoming more like it used to be, I was saying that before now, it used to be organizations trying to go out and source for team members. Now, the script has changed because it's now organizations making sure that they are agile to accommodate the new kinds of employees, else they would be running in circles. So what has the journey been like from your own point of view?
Okay, so before COVID, you know, some organizations, not all, some organizations did not really see the value that HR brings, you know, how valuable HR can be to the business. But what COVID did for the HR profession is that it kind of brought the HR profession to the limelight.
Okay.
So organizations were looking for solutions. The CFOs were not the one that had the solution.
Yes.
The marketing people are not the ones with the solution, because those are the people that the CEO usually will look up to, say, it's
True.
money, 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 money.
True.
You know? So unfortunately, the CFO didn't have the solution. The marketing guy didn't have the solution. Okay? So they had to look to the HR professionals in the system to say, okay, this is the situation we find ourselves. We want to remain in business. What do we do? You know, because for any business to succeed, you need people. Because people, as we've seen, it's actually the competitive advantage that every organization has. Okay?
Yeah.
And the people who manage these people, the HR professionals, are the ones that will be able to say, okay, these are the things we need to do to help us retain these people, to get the best out of the people, you know. So that was what made the COVID made HR profession to shine for those who knew what to do at the right time. Because there were some HR people who were sleeping and they didn't know what to suggest, right?
Okay, yeah.
But for those who were continually learning and updating themselves, it made it easy for them to do some sort of research to see, because this pandemic that we had, this is not the first time the world is experiencing pandemic. Yes. So it has happened before. And then there have been crises here and there. I remember when I was still in the first hospitality company that I worked, we had one tsunami somewhere around the Asian country, and people, you know, things were destabilized. So it was the HR people that had to come up with, okay, what do we need to do? How do we manage our people? I remember then we even had to contribute money in my own hotel to support those people down there. So what COVID did was basically to change the way we work. And so in order to determine how we now continue to do the work to stay alive, HR people were consulted. And that was when we now saw suggestions as to working remotely. People were now moving their business from the physical to online, okay? And because we couldn't come, everywhere was shut down. Because we couldn't meet physically, so we need to begin to think about, what do we do? How do we manage our people? So the issue of remote work, you know, before now, when you tell your line manager that you want to work from home or work from somewhere, the answer will always be no. That how can you say you are working for me and I can't see you. So
Yeah.
how do I know what you are really doing? So COVID now made it more like mandatory for the HR people to suggest to the organization what they need to do in order to increase productivity, in order to make sure that there are people able to, that they are well and able
Yeah.
to do their work. So in my organization, what we then did was that usually we have what we call the business continuity plan,
Okay.
but most of the business continuity plan that we had covered an aspect whereby maybe there's a crisis here. So you shut down one aspect of your business and move it to another location. We didn't have a plan that covered a situation whereby you have to shut down all locations.
Okay.
And so you are not able to access all the locations that you have. Maybe you have several of them. Like in my previous we had about 20 different locations in Lagos where we could operate from. But we had to shut down everything, shut down locations even across the country. So there is no way, nowhere to work from. People now have to work from home. So what we then did was to say, we need to look at all the different routes because we're a financial services company that provide banking services. We have to look through the roles to determine, okay, of all these roles, which one we're able to work remotely, which one work remotely without any need for additional support, work remotely with support, and then not able to work remotely at all. So we categorized, excuse me, we categorized the job roles into these three categories. And then had a meeting around that. So for those people who will not even be able to work at all, knowing fully well that we still have to pay salaries.
Yep.
So they have to support the business in one way or the other. Okay, we have to find something for them to do. Okay? And
Which is the better strategy compared to you saying go
them
home.
to go home.
Yeah.
So we have to find something for them to do. So we thought about, okay, what do we give them? We noticed that there were some people, because we offer loans, people who are taking loans and there's need to follow them up. So them there.
To cold calling.
So they started calling. That became their own
Department.
responsibility or part of the job. Then what we then needed to do was just to support them with airtime to be able to do that particular job and do it well. And then every day there's a report, okay? And then because during the period, people could fall ill
Yep.
and don't really know what's going on. So we made a list whereby, or a rule whereby every line manager needs to follow up with their team members. And we created several WhatsApp groups. So we had like a tactical team, okay, that has each head of department. And then each head of department had their own WhatsApp group with their own team members. So you need to check up on your team members every day. So we had a situation where about 2 or 3 people tested positive to
COVID
then, okay? And because we are in that group, it's easy to know who has a challenge, and then we're able to provide support for the person, make sure that they got the right treatment, Lucky enough for us, our HMO too was on board. Okay, so we had them also in one of the WhatsApp group. We're able to reach out to them. Okay, this person is sick, and they found a way to be able to reach the person, check on them, and so we're able to ensure that the well-being of our people was number one. Okay, we prided ourselves as a people-first organization.
Okay.
And if we say you're a people-first organization, then it means your people need to be first. So
Yeah.
we're making sure that aside from trying to make sure that the business is running, we also want to make sure that our people are healthy. And the interesting thing during that period is that I'm sure we're the only company that actually increased salaries for people during that period when there was a lockdown.
Why do you think it happened?
Why it happened, okay, for us, is that because we didn't shut down operation completely.
Okay.
So income was coming in, even though it wasn't coming in at the rate at which we expect, but something was still coming in.
Okay.
So it made it possible for us to be able to say, okay, we can still continue to support our people. But if we had a situation whereby there was no way we would be able to work, we could work remotely, then there will not be any resources to even say, let's appreciate our people for sacrificing, notwithstanding that they are at their homes, they're inconveniencing their family.
Yeah.
have to come up with another way to measure productivity and performance. And so for those ones that are supposed to make calls, we then need to agree, okay, you need to make X number of calls, and then so every morning a report is usually generated of people that you need to call, and then is distributed across. So we're now measuring people on specific tasks that needs to be accomplished.
Okay.
Instead of saying, okay, you're at the office, you come in the morning, you close in the evening, we've seen you. So people were now giving specific tasks. Okay, today this is what we need to close. Okay. And that was the same period that we deployed what I would call the agile way of working.
Yeah.
So in the morning on Mondays, we'll have like a 30 minutes meeting or an
Yeah.
meeting to
Scrum
set,
meeting is
yes,
like
to set the
stand-up
agenda
meeting.
for the whole week. Okay?
Yeah.
This is what we want to achieve for the whole week, and then we break it down into what you need to achieve every day.
Yeah.
Then the following day, no, before the following day, that same day, in the evening, there's usually an update. So this one we don't need to have a meeting. We just share in the WhatsApp group. This is it. But the following day in the morning, we'll have a stand-up meeting which doesn't last more than 10 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's just 10 minutes. And during that 10 minutes is just to check, okay, what were we supposed to achieve that yesterday? Because by the time you send your report in the evening, sometimes certain transactions will take place between when you close and before the morning. So in the morning, we'll have that 10 minutes conversation. Okay, what were we supposed to do yesterday? Are there any obstacles? If there are obstacles, we try to address them. So we're not waiting till the end of the week before we course correct if we notice that there's going to be a deviation in what we want to achieve. So that was a method that we deployed, and that helped us to ensure. And what we then discovered is that during this period, even though we're on lockdown, people were even more productive than when we were,
Shamana, just in case people think that I'm unfair to you, this drink is yours. This is yours.
Okay, let me have a taste of mine. Okay, and it tastes very nice.
Better.
So, we started doing that check-in, more like a check-in. Okay, so and we then discovered that people were even more productive during this period compared to when they were coming into
To
the
the
office.
office.
Because the challenge was that, in the morning, because of
The
Lagos,
traffic.
the traffic.
Yeah.
When people go through traffic, by the time they get to the office, they are tired. And then when they close, even if they close early, before they get back to their home, it's late in the night. So you don't even have enough rest. You have to wake up again and start the journey. So with working from home, it made them feel relaxed and they're able to accomplish more within the 8 hours that they need to do whatever they need to do.
Okay.
Unlike before that, by the time they get to the office, maybe there's only 4 hours. But when you come into the office, you want to catch your breath and all that. So that was something that we discovered. And then it also helped to accelerate our operations.
Okay.
Most of the things that we're doing were just manual. That was the first time we deployed WhatsApp banking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that means from all these conversations, it's clear that WhatsApp worked well for you.
Yeah.
That was like the tool. Some people it was Zoom. But you, for your team, I think WhatsApp was
worked,
very effective for you.
It worked well. But for other meetings, maybe with the seniors, we're using Zoom as well.
Okay.
Microsoft Teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you finally say, clearly, it's obvious that we jumped into this era and there were no rules of engagement. However, I think we've gotten to that stage where in some parts of the world, it's no more a conversation of whether you want to do remote or not. The main question to a professional like you is, what do you think should be the rules of engagement in this era for organizations and individuals to be more effective and to because this is the world after COVID. Remote has come to stay. However, there are some challenges with remote. From your experience, what do you think the rules of engagement should be for the employer and the employee to make for an effective, for us to get results so we don't go in circles?
Okay, so what's happening now is that the focus right now, in the world of work is about employee well-being.
Okay, perfect.
So because the focus is on employee well-being, it means that every organization that wants to succeed will have to try to make sure that they have an environment or policies or a culture that is friendly to the employee, that ensures that it takes into account the well-being of that employee. And if you then look at the different generations or categories of people that you have in the workforce, today you have a situation where you have about 5 generations working, coming to work together. Right?
Yeah. Keeps
Now,
changing.
the needs of these different generations are different. All those baby boomers, old school, they still want to see themselves coming physically to the office. But the new ones, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, the Gen Zs who are tech savvy, the Gen Alphas who are also tech savvy.
Yeah.
In fact, in fact, the three of them, the triplets,
Yeah.
they can operate my phone very well. You know, my phone, usually I'll lock it,
Yeah.
but it's strange. They know how to go around that lock and then start using the camera and do emergency call. Tell me, Daddy, we are doing emergency call. And I'm wondering, a 3-year-old child knows how to manipulate the phone.
Let me tell you a story. Someone said when Apple started their products,
Yes.
that it was made for the kids.
Not
Now
for
that,
adults.
that most of their marketing teams were teachers.
Yeah.
So when your kid comes into the store and you're expecting the marketing official to, that are teachers that will look at the kids, they're not looking at you.
Yeah.
So they take care of your kids and the kids touch your phone. So at the end of the day, you finally have to buy that phone because your kids love it.
Yes.
So I think for the Apple products, they were able to understand that. So that's why I don't know how if you give a kid a phone and you lock it, you're joking.
No, just open it.
Yeah.
So today you find you have those Gen Zs, Gen Alphas who are tech savvy.
Yeah.
Okay? And then some of them, they want freedom
Yes.
to be able to do multiple things. They don't want a situation where they are tied to just doing one thing because they get bored easily.
Yep.
Okay? And so because they get bored easily, they need to study the different generations and understand their specific needs. And so organizations will then have to deploy policies, environment and culture that will ensure that they can take care of the need of the different categories of people who are now, or generations who are now working with them. And this will lead to some of them who prefer to work remotely. You know, some will not want to come to the office Monday to Fridays. Maybe they want to come into the office 2 days, 3 days.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I would say is good if the focus is on the outcome.
Okay.
If the focus is on the outcome, and then if the job role also permits it, because not every job role
That
requires you to work remotely or offsite. So if the job role, say you hire someone who is an auditor, okay, and except maybe he really need to physically vouch documents, but most of those documents that you vouch physically can actually be scanned and shared.
Okay.
That's one way. So if it does not need to physically vouch documents, the person can work remotely. There are auditors who audit systems, audit people remotely. Okay, and maybe visit the site once or twice, and they still get the job done. So if the focus now should be on outcome and not presenteeism, because you have situational people who are present in the office and they really don't achieve anything.
Yep, I agree.
So outcomes should be what we start measuring. So if we're measuring outcome and then the job role, if the job role permits you working remotely, why not? Build in some time for remote work. Okay, what it does is that it helps the employee, for those of them who love to work remotely, to be able to have some time also for their family, because they want to a situation where they can balance work and also balance giving attention to their family. So when you introduce such work modes, it's easy for them to have that. So organizations basically should adopt what I call, just like in the case of situational leadership now.
Okay.
Okay. You know, in the situational leadership scenario, the way you deal with all members in your team differs.
Yes.
It's based on their readiness, ability to be able to deliver on the job. That's what we determine whether, do I need to give this person free hands, delegate? Do I need to close mark this particular
Which
person?
should be as a result of their own results
Yes,
to you.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So that's also, there is need to study the people, know their strengths and their weaknesses. So based on their strengths and their weaknesses, that will then determine what sort of job. Because for you to work remotely, it means that the person is self-motivated. It
Yeah.
doesn't require someone to motivate them. They have been actually asking for what to do, and they know what to do, and they can deliver it as at when it's
What happens to culture and what happens to situations where, like they always say, some things are learnt when you observe.
yes.
Some roles. The reasons why most of the times we revere office work is that your ability to look at your boss and some things are not said. You need to just job shadow someone and understand, okay, this is how to do it. You won't see it when you're doing virtual.
Okay, so you might not, you might see in some cases. So it depends on, like I said, what the person is working on.
Okay.
Culture can only be transmitted or taught more through communication.
Okay, you believe it's more through
Yes,
communication,
more through communication.
not through physical.
Not necessarily to. If we see and we don't say
Anything.
to ourselves, what am I going to pick from you?
Okay.
There are situations where people work in the same office and no knowledge is being shared.
Transferred. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the person, I'm just here, I don't even know, they don't tell me anything, they don't say anything to me. So you're not picking anything.
Okay.
So that culture that you want to build, let's say we were talking about when I call for a meeting or you call for a meeting,
Yeah.
you need to be on time. And
Yeah.
so whether physical or virtual, you can actually adopt that method.
Okay.
We'll call for a meeting and the meeting needs to start 5 minutes to the time. The meeting should just start.
Good. So let's come up with rules of engagement for this era.
So rules of engagement, one, you need to define how do you measure success.
Okay.
Okay. So you need to define how do you measure success. You need to define the communication times needs to be defined. Okay. At what point do we check in with each other? Okay. So I've shared where we do Monday morning, set up the rules, then you do every day or every evening there's a check-in.
Okay.
Then technology that you use, there's need to define that. The different type of reports that you expect, you need to define that as well.
So sorry, I heard you say something like if we plan for a meeting for instance, 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And we get into 10:15 and nobody has come, the meeting has ended.
The meeting has ended.
Okay.
The meeting has ended. So the thing is that, even the meetings online, even the way you do physically, you can have a meeting physically and say, okay, the meeting will start at 10. As soon as it's 5 minutes past 10, we lock the door, right?
Yes, yes.
So virtual, you can still do the same thing. When you are using Zoom or whichever one meeting app that you're using, you can set the same rule. 5 minutes past, you lock it, no other person can join the meeting. So even when you dial in and try to log in, you won't be able to get into the meeting. So that will then tell people that, okay, next time you have to come early. And then because you came late, you didn't hear what it is that was discussed, nobody's going to share, the leader of the meeting will not share with you. It means you need to go and hear from the other people who participated in the meeting, what was it that was discussed. And because you're not present doesn't mean that task will be assigned to you.
Okay.
We'll assign tasks to you, so you need to find, and you need to get it done.
Okay.
So those are some of the rules that needs to be defined. And then because we're using technology, some people might feel, okay, I can message you at any time of the day. Also need to define that. But one thing we've also discovered is that working remotely, sometimes we forget time. We get lost that we're supposed to work between this time and this time. So for me, what I usually advise is that the same way you wake up in the morning and prepare to go for your physical office work or meeting, you need to also do the same thing when you're working remotely. So when you're working remotely, you need to get a space.
Okay.
Let's say you don't have a separate room. You need to get a space and define that space as your workstation.
Okay.
You wake up in the morning, you go through your normal ritual, and then you go to that place so you've reported to work. And then you take your breaks when you need to take a break.
Okay.
You close when you need to close, and you shut down and you leave that particular spot. So these are some of the things that people need to define. Otherwise, you will just sit there from morning till the next day. You're working forever, and then your health is being affected.
So From a professional's point of view, finally, what would you say to the employees that most people that are in the workplace? Because what I'm taking away from this conversation, I I was of the school of thought that I strongly believe that it's good for you to have people around you to
Yes,
work.
yeah.
Yes. But I hear you well when you say you don't need to have people. Sometimes you might need
All the
to
time, yeah.
all the time.
Mhm.
Yes. I'm of the school of thought that this generation, or we have a challenge in this generation where if there are no rules of engagement, it's good for us to be virtual. It's good for us to get results with virtual. However, the consequences is that I love the teams that would do maybe 3 days in, 2 days out. What it would help us do, it would help us job shadow.
Yeah.
It would help us also give you flexibility compared to, because the challenge is most leaders always clone their successor. You can't find, and when I say clone, at least even though you might not have somebody like you, but someone that understands
The way
some
you work,
basics,
yeah.
and if you're not too careful, you might be employing someone that is not just working for you, but working in 10 organizations. So your ability to have people like that around, um, I am I'm not completely old school, but I know that every generation will evolve. But your ability to have people around to job shadow you would help. But I hear you. I hear you when you say things like your communication is very important. You don't need to be physical. Now, but what's your final take to the employee that is getting into the workplace, how to be able to be relevant, and to the small businesses that don't think most of that finally picked up their own playbook and they are running by they've heard they are doing Zoom, they are doing Zoom. They've heard they are doing WhatsApp, they are doing WhatsApp, and there are no structures to it.
Yeah.
What's your own take on consequences and how they can be able to be in alignment to the changing workplace?
So for me, what I will advise is every organization is unique.
Okay.
So you need to find what works well for your organization. So even though we say best practices, okay, best practice is just best practice to you. It's not best practice to everyone.
Okay, so that's what it is.
Yes. So you need to adapt the best practice. If you pick a best practice that is being run by a particular organization and just plug and play into your organization is likely going to fail, even though the other organization is succeeding.
Yeah.
So you need to pick what is good and then look at your environment, adapt it, okay? Then it becomes your own best practice, okay?
Okay.
So don't just pick a practice and then say, ah, no, this is what everybody's doing, so let me do the same thing. No, you need to test it and see how can I adapt that particular practice for I use. And then for people who are just getting into work, I would advise, okay, at the onset, 100% remote might not be very good, okay?
Okay.
There should always be an opportunity or a time where we can all come together and get to see each other and then get to collaborate with each other, okay? Except if we're living in two different geographical locations, we are just dispersed across the globe. And so you can work with people for a very long time without seeing them, without physically seeing them, but you see them face to face. I mean, you see them via the video. Then the other thing is there is need to understand what is expected of you in your job role.
So there has to be an individual
Yes,
KPI.
there's an individual KPI. So you have to understand what's expected of you in your job role. What is it that's what would success look like for you in that job role? So that needs to be defined ab initio. So it makes it easy for you to know whether you are contributing value. On the other end, I think about maybe somebody working for multiple organizations.
Yeah.
With the way things are now, okay, especially the Gen Zs and
And the likely Gen
Alphas.
Alphas.
Yes. So they love to do so many things at the same time.
So you can't stop
And
them.
they are looking for multiple streams of income. So what our organization should do is to put if you say you want to stop it, they will still be doing it behind your back.
Yeah.
So what do? Put a policy in place whereby people should be able to disclose, okay?
Okay.
Declare their interest and disclose what it is that they are doing. insofar as it doesn't conflict with what the organization is doing, then there's no need stopping them from doing it. Okay, so if they disclose and we all know this is what it is, okay, and we can see that it doesn't impact
Affect the organization.
affect the job that affect the quality of job that they are delivering, then no problem. But if it begins to impact on their deliverable, then that's where there's a problem. But because you've defined it and they've signed up to it, to say, okay, if it impacts, then there are certain consequences that are likely going to take place. So it makes it easy for you.
I like that
to
fact.
ensure
You would have
that,
to
yes,
state it.
Yes, you have to state it, yes.
Okay.
So that would be what I would recommend to address that fear.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it will always be there.
Okay.
People will sell something, whether you like it or not. And the other thing I've also discovered that when you make them declare those interests,
Yeah.
sometimes you might find that they have certain potential or skill
That you did not see.
that you did not see that you even might need in your organization. So that's an opportunity for you to even help them to discover that talent that they have and see how it can add value to your business.
Okay. Okay. I think that makes it clear. So how has our discussion gone far? So far, so good.
So far, so far good. So far, so good. So far, so good. I think basically, I enjoyed it.
I don't have a coconut for you to break.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to ask for. Since this is the
Coconut
show,
the BTC show.
breaking the coconut show.
When we started, the price of the coconut was fair. Now the price of coconut is so expensive that we have to go to the thick forest to find coconut. Don't quote me on that. But thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for your time. This was important because the reality of the workplace is remote, hybrid, but I also felt that there was a need for someone else to be able to help people in quote write what the rules of engagement are, and I think this conversation would help an employer of labor and an employee to be able to see how they play. If honestly, if you ask people to declare or most of the things they do, and you don't use it against them, that would be very good.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't use it against
them. Yes.
Yes.
Against them.
And writing that consequences, trying to place, saying, okay, this is the consequences of this. I think that's what I've seen that works well.
Because in my previous organization, okay, even in the current one, in my previous organization, we have, it's a very simple, but it's part of your contract, okay? If you don't declare and we then discover,
okay,
then it becomes a reason to terminate the contract.
Okay. Okay.
So it's better you declare what it is.
Okay.
Okay. And then, at the beginning I mentioned that I serve on the HRCI Certification Council.
Yeah.
I also have to declare my interest. Are there organizations that I'm relating with that are competing with the business? I have to state it.
Okay.
So if it exists, then it means there is no need. So and then maybe when somebody now approach me and wants me to do something, I would then ask myself, I'm currently doing this, so now this thing you're asking me, is it going to be in conflict with what I'm currently doing for this organization? Yeah. If the answer is no, then I go ahead. But if it's yes, then it means I won't step. So it's good to define that ab initio. So it makes it easy for people not to make mistakes, because oftentimes somebody might take up a particular responsibility, not knowing that, okay, this thing is not good. There was someone who reached out to me, said he wanted me to help promote his products. Okay, and it was a certification product. So when he described the product, I was excited. It looks good. I said, yes. Then later, after the conversation, that's when I said, I'm on the certification board. So and this thing, even though it's not called HR, it's talent. This is HR. It's the same thing.
It will affect.
And our colleague, I said, sorry, I'm doing this, so it will not be possible for me to support you.
Okay.
So, but if it was not defined, I would just go ahead and then later I would ask, but what you're doing is conflicting with what we're doing. Yeah. And we're not having issues.
Thank you for your short sermon.
Thank you.
It was nice having you.
Thank you.
Don't worry, I'll take note of the coconut. I'll try very hard.
Next time we need to have.
I'll try very hard to find coconut for you. But this is me saying thank you for your time. Thank you for what you do. I've chased you for a while because I understand that you bring value to the conversation. And wherever, the idea is that we're in an era where um, people say this is the skit of the knowledge economy.
Okay.
The skit of the knowledge economy is continuously hearing from matter experts and hearing their own view. It helps us get better. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for being our
Very
guest.
much.
And
Thank you.
nice doing
Pleasure.
this.